It's the winter season. The snow fills up the ground, and a Christmas song plays as House by House is shown. A reporter of Fall Oaks Town stands in the midst of snowy trees with a mic in her hand and her face directed towards the camera. She focuses on sharing the information of the annual festival and talks about a motivator, Rachel Kennedy, who is arriving at her hometown. A car passes by as she talks about a new book and how exciting and inspiring Christmas is going to be for them all. A black limousine stops at the front of a cafe as the motivator and inspirational speaker, Rachel, gets out of the car and enters the little cozy cafe. A lady walks up to her as a waiter offers her with a chair to sit down on. After she sits, she tells her about how good it is to have her back. Rachel expresses her distance and claims that the feeling isn't mutual. The lady hopes and shares her concern that coming back home isn't getting to her. But before she can come up with a response, a man in a suit walks in and talks to her about signing a deal with the publisher. She agrees to sign it. The male discloses it's time for her to mount the stage, and she sighs. On stage, the mayor takes control, telling them that this is the best Christmas ever. The crowd claps happily, and he goes further to tell them how the town hero is back, and introduces her to the audience. She collects the mic and thanks the mayor for the special honor as they clap again. She turns to the crowd and tells them how happy she will be to see everyone at her live inspiration celebration event. She gives them an assignment when they get home. They should stare at the mirror and look back at themselves, claiming the most important person in your universe is the one you're staring at from the mirror. She goes further to tell them to take care of themselves first, before taking care of others. When she is done with her little speech, the mayor takes the mic, and the citizens of Fall Oaks Town clap. He offers the golden key of Fall Oaks Town to her, before they pose for the camera, and a happy shout rings out through the crowd. Her manager, Stuart, is happy that the day ended well as he walks her to her car. She invites him to grab a bite, but he has somewhere to be. He encourages her to go home and do something for herself, to unwind and watch a movie, or paint her nails. She chuckles and agrees. After bidding farewell, they both depart. The Christmas song titled Jingle Bells play as she drives home. When she gets home and discovers how lonely the place is, she unlocks her phone and goes to her brother's contact. She wants to text him but can't, not after staying away for years. Dejected and feeling alone, she shuts her phone and sighs. The next day at her office, she sits in the conference room with Stuart and her assistant, Bridget. Stuart brings up the issue of publishing and increasing her visibility. Her assistant mentions about needing a producer, and she turns to her manager with a look of confusion on her face. He confirms it, and the publisher asks them to hire a local professional producer in the area and promises to take care of it. Bridget also brings up gifting her family, and as she rants about the gifts she'll get for them, Stuart throws in a snide comment about getting them the same gift every year. She ignores him and tells them she has no idea what to get her brother, since she barely knows him. Both Stuart and Bridget give her a sympathetic look, and she tells her she'll handle it. She stands up and exits the office, telling Stuart to find her a reliable producer. At the supermarket, after getting the gifts for her brother and his family, she goes to pay. The cashier is involved in a conversation about how lucky her family is to have her, and she chuckles and tells her that if she can't give time, you get a gift. The girl is a fan of hers, so Rachel shares with her about the event coming up and invites her to come. The cashier expresses that she'd love to, but it's a bit too expensive, and makes a comment about how she has no idea inspiration could cost so much. Rachel chuckles awkwardly. Just then, a stranger steps in and calls her attention. She turns around and her brows lift in surprise at the good-looking man in front of her. He gives her a sheepish smile and holds up 2 ties, asking which one is better. She chuckles and picks the blue one. He agrees and offers a handshake before telling her his name. She returns the favor. He states he's from Boston and his phone rings. He wishes her a Merry Christmas and walks away. Walking out of the shop, Stuart calls her and states he has found the perfect producer. Disclosing she's on her way, she hangs up and hurries her steps to her car, wanting to get to the office as soon as possible. Due to this, she fails to notice the upcoming car as she goes to cross the road. A woman, who is also passing by, notices this and pulls her back before she gets closer to the car. Rachel standing up and apologizing to the woman as she picks her fallen groceries. Rachel reaches out for an orange on the floor, asking if she's okay. After giving it to her, she expresses her gratitude by opening her purse, wanting to pay the woman back for saving her. But she tells her to go help someone else who needs it instead. Astonished, Rachel asks for her name, and she tells her she's Joy. Stuart enters her office, claiming he called her, but she didn't return it. She calls Bridget and requests for an ice pack. This concerns Stuart, and he inquires about what happened. She narrates her encounter with a woman who saved her from a car accident. He asks why she didn't call, and she tells him she's fine, but wouldn't be if the woman hasn't pushed her out of the way. He is excited about how they can use the incident for marketing, and he brings out his phone. She stops him by disclosing it's real life. It's serious that a random person comes to save her, and she can't stop thinking about it. She goes further and exposes that she rejected her money and told her to help someone who needs it. Stuart sits down on the chair opposite her and tells her she has no idea who she is, saying she helps people all the time, everywhere with her books and seminars. She cuts him off, shaking her head, revealing how he's not getting her, that she is not sure she'd have done the same to someone else. Stuart declares that he knows she's emotional right now, but he needs her head in the game, claiming the event is only 2 weeks away. As they both climb the stairs to the conference room, Rachel asks who the producer is, and Stuart tells her he's a good one. He can deliver what they want. As they both enter, Rachel is shocked to see Jack, the man she encountered at the supermarket when she went to pick up gifts for her brother and his family. She smiles and walks up to him, inquiring about how the tie hunt went, and he assures her it was a good choice. However, their conversation is cut short when Stuart asks if they know each other. She nods, stating that he needed her professional opinion on a tie at the store. After the brief conversation, they all sit down on the couches, and she questions his resume and application, and inquires what he's doing in town. He gives a vague answer, then indulges and shares with her that he took this job because he sees potential in her line of work. Perplexed, she utters to him that there's already potential in her work, albeit rudely. He disagrees, going further to disclose his 48 hours review on her page, and the few things he suggests they do differently. She gets angry, but he doesn't stop there. He mentions how they should add different things, and also makes a suggestion about adding Christmas celebrations to make it more about Christmas than her image. She claims Christmas isn't her forte. In a clipped tone, Stuart sits and watches the exchange between them. Sensing her negative energy and anger, he thinks he's not the best person for the job. She agrees eagerly. Just then, Stuart steps in and takes Rachel outside the conference room to have a word with her. He questions what she's doing, and she voices out her dislike for his approach. He convinces her that he's the best they got, and his resume is good. With the event close by, they won't be able to get another producer. He pushes her further, and she agrees reluctantly, walking back into the room. She declares that he got the job, and she's willing to add a little bit of Christmas with it. Happily, he decides their first task, and she gives him a lost face. He clarifies that for her to know what to do, she needs to go out there and mix with people, and the only way he can work with someone is to know them. And he tells her she's stuck with him. He takes her to the town cocoa contest and encourages her to be involved with the activities. She agrees and steps forward. Jack turns to Stuart and questions how he handles her, and he chuckles, claiming to have been with her since her first book, 5 years ago. A Christmas song plays in the glorious morning as a cafe opens shop. Rachel is walking when she spots Joy, the woman that saved her from the accident. Curious, she tails after her to a building. Rachel enters, only to discover she's in a hall decorated with Christmas equipment. She meets a man and requests for Joy. The man, Dennis, introduces himself and shows her where Joy is. Joy is surprised, and Rachel is quick to apologize for trailing her. But she can't help but want to see her again. Joy unpacks the bakery for the kids, and they both go to the community orphanage. She stands beside Dennis as they both watch Joy play the piano, as the kids sing a Christmas song. She watches their interactions with a smile on her face, before Dennis pulls her in for a conversation. He inquires how much she knows Joy, and she claims she only just met her, and narrates about the incident and how she saved her life. He discloses to her that Joy has been managing and taking care of the kids for many years, and she has the tendency to do that. It's her gift. Rachel agrees. Dennis voices out how sad he is to see all of it going away, claiming they no longer have the funding. Concern fills her as she inquires about the children. She gets a message from Stuart, which she reads, but ignores. Meanwhile, Jack sits in his office, watching a past video of Rachel when she starts her business. She mentions about her parents' demise, and he feels for her. Joy invites Rachel into her home and gets coffee for them. Taking a look around, Rachel notices a bookshelf and walks over to it. Looking at it, she sees a younger picture of Joy with a group of people. Just then, Joy enters the living area and sees her with the picture frame. She discloses to her that it was when she was in a classical band in the East briefly, until she moved to Fall Oaks. And when she got here and saw how the community helped her, she decided to help people. When she goes out to get cookies, Rachel stumbles upon her favorite book as a child and tells Joy how she'd read it to her brother. Joy questions why she doesn't see him anymore, and she tells her that she's busy with the event and everything. Joy voices out to her that even if she's too busy, he's family, and we make time for what we want to make time for. Rachel nods and confides in her about her things that have come between them, about how she needs her to inspire and remind herself of why she wanted to make a difference in the first place. Joy nods in understanding, but declines the opportunity to join Rachel's business. Although sad, she hands over her card to Joy, telling her to contact her when she changes her mind. In the office, Rachel and Jack indulge in an argument about the audience and music, and he tells her to stay in the loop. She voices out that if her publishers are happy, then she's happy. Jack gazes at her in utter disbelief and questions her if she'd rather make her publishers happy than help people who are in need. She gives up and asks what he has in mind. He discloses his idea about focusing on Christmas, and she tells him it's not her thing, then breaks down because it was during the session she lost someone, and being home doesn't help. He feels pity for her and apologizes. He picks up his guitar and starts singing while striking chords. They both laugh before Bridget comes in and tells her that Joy is here to see her. Surprised, she goes outside and Jack follows behind her. Jack introduces himself to Joy before he leaves and promises to work on the song. She turns to Joy and leads her into her office. Joy agrees with her and asks what she wants her to do. Rachel expresses how she wants to be there for people and wants Joy to guide her and be her advisor. She agrees, but on the condition that Rachel joins her at the community center. Rachel declines, saying she doesn't have time. But Joy tells her that time is more valuable than donations. She caves in. One evening, both Jack and Rachel are outside for a festival. They both bake cakes, laughing, and the scene cuts to them drinking tea before a stranger comes to them about needing their help. Rachel is about to decline, but Jack agrees and convinces her. They both play a game, and they win in the midst of the raw happiness. Rachel throws her arms around Jack in a hug as they both jump gladly. After a fun night at the festival, he drives her home and discovers that her house lacks Christmas warmth. He drives them back to the store, ignoring her rejection and buying decorations. They both decorate the outside and build a snowman, all the while laughing and having fun. Then she goes inside to set up the Christmas tree and narrates a story about Christmas, when her dad was still alive, when she was young, and confides in him about how her dad had a knack for decorations. She reminisces in the moment and discloses about the memories they created with her brother. He admires and smiles at her as she talks, before asking him about his own memories. He also shares that he lost his parents when he was a kid, and she feels remorseful and apologizes. He, however, tells her how hard it has been not having any family, saying he was adopted when she asks if he has no siblings. She voices her concerns about seeking out his biological parents, and he confesses he has been searching for them, but to no avail, further sharing how family makes you feel less lonely, and he wants a family and hopes to find them one day. The conversation shifts to a lighter one as they discuss the events and laugh. She turns him down when he gives her a longing look, saying she doesn't wish to get romantically involved with the people she works with. She stops by her brother's house, who is surprised to see his sister standing at the door. They share an awkward conversation, and she apologizes for coming unannounced. Before he departs, she invites him to her Christmas party, but he declines, claiming it's a busy time for them. Feeling gloomy, she leaves his place. While she is practicing her speech on stage at the event hall, she notices Joy giving her weird looks and confronts her about it. Joy tells her that the message is about Christmas, and it should be about giving only not on Christmas, but throughout the year too. Stuart walks in with Austin and shuns Joy's idea, but Rachel thinks it's a good one and decides to think about it. Angry, Austin walks away, and Stuart asks to speak with her. He tells her that Austin is good, and they need to stick it out. Stupefied, Rachel argues, and Stuart walks out. Rachel reassures a stricken Joy, but she shares that she needs to leave because the community party is about to be canceled. Rachel comes up with a new idea. They both go to the community center, and Jack surprisingly came to volunteer. The party is going well, but in the meantime, Stuart asks one of his friends to run a background check on Joy. After the party is over, both Jack and Rachel wash plates together as he hums a song and tells her his parents sang it for him when he was young. It became his favorite Christmas song. She asks for the name of the song, and he tells her it's Christmas Memories. They both play with soap foam and laugh. The love flying in the air is interrupted when Bridget enters and tells Jack that Paul, his assistant, is calling for him. Soon after, Joy asks Rachel to join her in decorating Christmas ornament at her house, and she eagerly agrees. As they are decorating, Rachel shares with her about how she missed this part of Christmas while growing up, and Joy asks if she has gotten in touch with her brother. Rachel admits it didn't go well. She gets sad as she narrates when her dad passed away, and she got away from everything that reminded her of him. Everything, including her family. She flew to Los Angeles and only came back to her mom's funeral. Immediately after that, she flew back to Los Angeles and sent money whenever she could, and it became her way of helping. She admits not blaming him for holding it against her, claiming she abandoned him when he needed her the most, and it's too late to rekindle a relationship with him. Joy voices that it's never too late for anything, and gives her a smile. She also tells her that she has the chance of having a family, and that she shouldn't throw it all away. In realization and agreement, she writes it on an ornament and hangs it on the Christmas tree. When she gets home that night, she sends a voicemail to her brother telling him she misses him and expressing her love for him. At her Christmas party, while she and Jack are dancing, Stuart tells her that she has a guest waiting for her at the door. She's surprised to see her brother standing there and rushes to hug him. Jack sees them and walks out with a sad face. Both siblings sit in the lounge area to talk. She gives him her bag of gifts for him and his family, and he does the same, telling her it's from the kids. Both sit in an awkward silence before he breaks it. He utters about how he hasn't seen her in 3 years and asks why it's been so long. She shakes her head, giving excuses of being busy and getting wrapped up. He narrates that it's like he and his family no longer exist, claiming they are no longer in her world. Not having anything to say, he stands up to go, but tells her how proud he is of her. The next day, she confronts Jack and asks him why he left the party without saying goodbye. He shrugs, disclosing that he thinks leaving early was better, to keep things professional. Rachel is shocked and steps away from him, but he stops her and inquires who the man at her house last night was. She blushes when she realizes he was jealous, and he admits it when she tells him it's her brother. Both Jack and Rachel stop at her brother's house to invite him for the event, and decide to hang out with the family for a while after apologizing to them for her absence in their life. Back at the office, Stuart shows Rachel the information he gathered about Joy, and she feels devastated when she sees that Joy has an arrest record. At Rachel's home, Rachel confronts her about the arrest record, and she narrates to her that she stole money at the convenience store she worked at for her son because she had nothing, and later had to give him up for adoption. Since then, she decided to help anyone who needed help. She holds in her tears and walks away from her home after dropping the garden apple book. At the event, Rachel confides in Jack and tells him she regrets asking her about it. He urges her to go and talk it out with Joyce. When she leaves, he takes the book from her bag, and a photo of him when he was a baby falls out from it. He is shocked to find out the real identity of his birth mother and storms over to Joy's house, but meets Rachel on the way and confronts her about it. Sensing his panic, she urges him to calm down, and he takes his own advice. He listens and goes to Joy. He shares his deepest worries about what he thought when she gave him up, and she clarifies, telling him she wanted to give him a good life. They both break down, and Jack declares he needs space to clear his head and think about it. Both Jack and Rachel sit on her couch, watching a video, and Jack suggests candy. On his way back from fetching it, he overhears a conversation between Austin and Stuart about how Jack will stop working for them after tomorrow's event, how it's all planned out by Rachel, and all that matters to her is work. Angry and feeling betrayed, he storms over to her, throws the candy on the couch and goes to put on his coat, telling Rachel how he was a fool to have trusted her. At the event, Rachel confronts Stuart about it and shares that she can no longer work with him. Jack overhears the conversation with the headset on and decides to talk to her after the event. He goes backstage, where Austin also stands. They both watch, along with a crowd, as she speaks about giving and helping others. After her inspirational speech, she goes backstage, where Austin tells her he likes what he sees, and she earns herself another book deal. She is surprised but overjoyed and accepts. When he walks away, Jack congratulates her before apologizing for misunderstanding them. She reassures him, and that's when they both realize they have feelings for each other. They share a kiss. The scene cuts to Joy's house, where she plays the piano. The kids are playing with toys, David and his wife Susie dance, and Jack and Rachel are cuddling together on the couch. All of them sing a Christmas song, and Jack and Rachel share a kiss, grinning at each other.